Okay, so now I'm going to add some text in a column over here, and I'm going to make these columns a little different sized. So I'm going to add another guide here, and I'm going to add the guide just about here. And at this point, I'm just kind of guesstimating where I want to put it right at this point. And then I might change it later. So we'll see how that works there. Now before we paste our text in here, we want to set up our font panel here, or our character panel here. Otherwise it's going to be super big, it's not going to fit. And I actually want to choose a different font. I want you to use two different fonts here as well. So I want you to use a second font somewhere in here, and I'm going to use a different font in this text area here. So I already know which one it's going to be, but you're going to have to figure out which ones you want. And I think the one that I picked here is this one here, Utah. And I'm going to start up my size to be 15 here. 14 is fine. I'm going to make it bigger. Well, let's try 18. So somewhere around there. I want to make sure that this height is at auto, and I'm going to change my tracking back to 0 here, and make sure that everything else is set at 0, 100, 18 point here. So now that that is set and my color is white, I'm going to go ahead and make my text box here. And again, if I get my cursor too high here, I'm just going to select this text here. So I need to go down until I see that little dotted box around my cursor, and that means it's going to create a new text box. So I'm going to create that box there, and then I'm going to paste some text that I have in a text document over here. So I'm going to copy this text, and then I'm going to go ahead and paste that in this box here. Okay. The other thing I left on here, oopsie daisy, is the bold. I don't know why I had that on there, but I don't want bold on there. So I need to highlight all this text and make sure that it's regular. And it looks like the box might be a little small here. So I'm going to open it up so I can see the whole thing. Okay, because yeah, it looks like this bold was still on there. Hopefully yours won't do that. Okay, so one of the things that I want to do is decide what's going to be on each line here. And you can see from my other example from trial and error, I had find your and then perfect fit. So I'm going to put this on the next line. And then how the Kiwis and it's saved as going to be on a separate line. Treasure's going to be on another line. And then which pop icon loves scuba. Okay, so when I set this up right, it'll all fit together. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is start formatting these different items here. And I don't know, it's all up to you how you want to go about it, but let's just go ahead and make the top parts yellow right now. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a yellow color here. Oop, don't like that. Just the regular yellow. I'm going to do that for, and I would also make this bold. And it looks like the font, I want to make it all the way across, so I want to make it a little larger. So I'm going to make it 21, but I want to set the tracking a little bit. I want the letters a little more together. So I'm going to do minus 40 here, and then it looks like I can make the font size a little bit bigger. Let's try 22. Okay, that looks pretty good there. I like that. And actually, this whole box maybe needs to move over a little bit, but we'll play with that. So I'm going to highlight this and make this bold, yellow. So I'm going to duplicate my settings here, basically. This was minus 40. Oops. And then my font size here was 22. That fits perfect there. Same thing with this one. We're going to do bold, yellow, -40, and 22. Okay, so that gets all that stuff there. The next thing that we're going to do is play with the leading a little bit. And what the leading is the space in between the lines. It's way too far apart right now, so we want it closer together. Okay, so make sure that you can see all your text, then highlight all the text, and then we're going to move the leading or the spacing in between the lines. So looks like 12 point. It's probably about, looks good for me. Now that I've got that there, I can move the whole box up. And then let's see what it looks like by clicking apply. And it looks pretty good. Oh, somehow or another I don't have my yellow text on here. So let's put that there. You know what? I did not click OK. That's what it was. Click OK, not the box. Okay, so that looks pretty good. If I still am not happy with the size of the way everything fits here, I can play with it more. But I think it looks pretty good. Again, you know, the things that we did were leading, we did the we did tracking, or the space in between the letters. Leading's the height of the lines, and then we can also change the height of the characters if we wanted to as well. And we did that with the photo thing. So if it looks okay, we just go hit the text box, and then I think I want to move it up a little bit and over, so I'm going to just get the move tool, so hit V, and then I can nudge it, and that's a lot easier to do to get it in the perfect place. So I'm just going to put it in between, and I actually want it closer to this outside edge here because I want everything to line up on that outside edge there. Alright, so that's looking good. If I don't want to see the guides here, I can hide them by pressing Control and semicolon or Command semicolon and see how that looks. So far it looks good. And let's go ahead and add one more block of text and then some finishing touches, and we're there. Okay, so after drawing the text box here, I pasted in this text here that I got from a text document, and now I'm going to format this text here. I'm going to do this a little differently than what I did up here, and I'm just going to put in some values that I created from trial and error, but I'm going to show you how you would go about doing that. So again, we need the character panel open here, and we're going to start with the best part up here. So we're just going to select this one line. Oops, I want the top one, best. Okay, so I actually am going to use a different font, and actually I should probably change this right now because I didn't want that font I used before. I want to use my original Consola font. So I'm going to change the font first, and there's my Consola's font. Okay, so we're going to highlight best. And we want to make this text fit all the way across is what I did here. And so I used several different settings here. First of all, I wanted it to be bold. And then for the size of the type, I used 69 point. And again, you would just go ahead and slide the slider probably until it fit where you want it to fit. So let's go ahead and do that for the first couple ones, and then I'm just going to type in numbers to save you time. Okay, so it's not fitting all the way across here, so what I had to do is I had to adjust the tracking a bit until it fit. And I came up with -60 there, looks pretty close, so that'll work. I think -40 might have been, oh, -40 is even better, it fits across there better. Okay, and then I changed the height of the text as well. And I made it taller. I wanted it to be taller, so I just changed that till I got it where I wanted it, and about 151 is where it was at. Okay, I changed the color, but I'm going to do that later. Right now I want to get the formatting right. So that was best. Now we're going to go to dive tips. And if you double click in front of a line, it'll select the whole line. So if you have the cursor next to it and you double click, it'll select the whole line of text. So for dive tips, I made that font regular. I made it 34 point. I'm going to just type in numbers now because I showed you how to do it. And then I made the tracking -100, and I made the height 81%. Okay. Now you can see this is too close to being on top of this text here, so I'm going to have to change the leading a little bit until it moves down to where I want it. And because the line's already selected, it's already going to change the line spacing in between those lines there. So that's good. I can change it more if I need to later. Now we're going to do ever. Okay, so it's best dive tips ever. Ever is going to be regular 70 point. And then we're going to use -40 for our tracking. And then the height of our text this time is going to be 70%. Okay, this again we're going to have to set, and it looks like something happened here, so I'm going to probably have to play with this a little bit to make it fit. And it looks like -60 is what I'm going to have to use. Maybe the box is a little smaller or something, but whoop, -60 is what's going to fit there. So best dive tips ever. We're going to have to play with some stuff here too when we get there. Okay, so now we're going to do 33. And 33 is going to be, oh, I didn't do the height of the text for ever. And for ever, I wanted 150%, not 70. Oops, yep, that's right. And then I'm going to change the tracking, I'm sorry, the leading again. Okay, so what I'm doing is creating different weights of my font here so that you'll be able to, the eye goes to what I think is important here in the text. So this is going to be regular 75 and -40 for the tracking, and this is going to be 105% high. Okay, so then we're going to have to set this line spacing or leading again. And I also changed, I didn't like the length of these lines here, so I changed this as well to a different font. I used Courier New. So it's a little thinner line. I'm going to have to open my text box a little so I can see the text. And this one here, I made Courier New. And then it looks like I'm going to have to change the tracking here to -140 is what I had here. Now, secrets is next. And for secrets, I had that be bold and 43 point. And -100 here. And then the height was 81%. 81. And again, this was all just trial and error until I got it to where I wanted it. And then from the prose is almost there, it looks like. I just want that to be 24 point. I believe that was regular as well. Minus 40 with the tracking. Looks like I had to do a little more, minus 100. And then the height was 81. Okay, and looks like I had to change the leading a little bit here. And I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so again, the same paragraph there, just playing around with those. Now, if I want to line all these up here on this side here, which I may want to, I'm going to have to adjust some other parameters here. So you can see here this stuff's not lining up to the line here. So I'm going to go over here to the paragraph part of the character panel. I'm going to click next to the B here, and I'm going to outdent it instead of indent it. So I'm going to type -3 here and see what that does. That lines it up there perfectly. Try with ever. Looks like ever is going to take we'll try -6. That works. 33 I kind of wanted to be here where it is. Looks like it's centered in here and there. These are at the end, so I think that's pretty good. Secrets is pretty much there, and from the prose is pretty much there. So it was just lining those things up that really didn't look that great. So let's go ahead and click the checkbox and see how it looks without that on there. Control semicolon to get rid of the guides, and it looks pretty good. The only thing that I want to do now is change the color. So I want the dive tips to be red. So I'm going to highlight dive tips there. Change the color to this red here. I want it to be the same red. And I want the 33 to be red. Hopefully that selected the 33. Yeah, I think it did. And then from the prose. And that is it. So we'll click the checkbox here and see how that looks. So I might want to play with the line spacing a little bit here with the leading. It looks like it's a little bit close. We'll play with that a little bit. And then I just want to add some finishing touches and we're done. So that's it for this part of the tutorial, and then in the next tutorial we're going to add the finishing touches.